Hey guys, still here, and welcome back to the Stealth and SoCards series. Today I have another question coming out of these SoCards, and in case you're wondering what the hell are the SoCards, the SoCards is a deck of about 50 to 52 playing cards. Not so much playing cards in the sense they have jacks and kings and queens and stuff like that. No, these are conversation starters, and they're not your average conversation starter. They're there to actually spark deeper conversation. So it's not, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you like your job? It's not shit like that. It's actually deeper questions. And you can get these things through SoCards.org. It's not a sponsor, it's not a promo or anything. I just got these things a while ago, and I've had some really, really good conversations after having them. And just being able to ask these questions to people and getting to depths of conversation that you normally don't get to, or asking questions that you normally might not even think of. Now, today's question is, where do you go and what do you do when you need to restore your energy? I think this is a very good question to ask other people as well. So, in case you're ever wondering, hey, what does that person do to recharge? For me, it's basically what I'm doing, most of the time, sitting in my computer. And it's the whole difference between introverts and extroverts. Introverts usually recharge when they're devoid of human interaction, and extroverts recharge on human interaction. And then even, of course, the extroverts can generally run out of power or run low on their battery as they don't get, or if they get too much human interaction. But overall, that's the sort of, let's say, categorization that I figured out for myself. Introverts recharge when devoid of human interaction, like me. Extroverts recharge on human interaction. Now, I think that this is basically a two-parter question. Where do you go? Well, I just go home, or at least I go to a quiet place. No avalanche of new information, or at least information that I can control. Because, interestingly, you could argue, hey, introverts, they don't respond too well to having too many inputs. And I don't think that that's true, because I very much consider myself still to be an introvert. But if I'm playing Wargame, for example, or XCOM, you're getting constant input. You always need to be making decisions, you need to be figuring out what your units are doing what, which units need assistance, which units might need to be withdrawn to get resupplied. It's not a lack of information or input, and it's definitely not a lack of decision making. So interestingly, it seems to be the human element, that is going to be the part that I need to recharge from. So what do? Usually, I just do what I always do, which, well, that sounds terrible, what I always do. What I do most of the time, if I get the chance, which is play games. Whether it be Wargame, XCOM, recently it's been 7 Days to Die, which I'm very, very much caught up in. And you can just do that for hours. And you get in this sort of flow state. In case you know, in case you don't know what flow is, consider a graph with two axes. So one is the y-axis, or also known as the bar that goes up, and one's the bar that goes horizontal, the x-axis. The x-axis says, hey, what is the challenge? The y-axis says, what is the challenge? So very, very low on the y-axis would mean no challenge. I can do this in my sleep. Very high on the y-axis would be something that you very, very much struggle with. The x-axis is going to be, what is your ability level? What's your skill level? What can you do? And this can be stuff like, well, I'm very good at, learning new things, for example, or figuring out new stuff. As long as you're in a sort of diagonal line going up, where the level of difficulty constantly meets the level of skill that you have, then you enter what some scientists call the flow state. It's where you can just keep going and going and going, and time seems to just disappear. And for me, this definitely happened last night. When I was done with my XCOM stream, I continued playing 7 Days to Die, just for myself, not streaming or anything. And I started that at 11 p.m., and before I knew it, it was 2 a.m. And I was like, what the hell, where'd the time go? Because you're constantly meeting a position where your skill level is at or just below the level of challenge. So you always have something to strive for. Those are the situations that I need to restore my energy. And this happens with XCOM, this happens with Wargame, this happens with 7 Days to Die. It's this constant meeting of skill level and challenge. Alternatively, if you have a situation where your skill level massively exceeds the challenge, you're going to get bored. There's no challenge and you go, never mind. And sometimes with games this happens when you have it all figured out or when the enemy is not good enough. Alternatively, you have on the same X and Y graph a position in time where you have more of a challenge than your skill level can meet. If it's a little bit more, then you can usually manage. And you can say, hey, I'm going to step up my game, I'm going to learn some new tactics, I'm going to learn some new skills, and I'll tackle this problem. If the difference, however, becomes too great, then you're going to get dispirited. You're going to get demotivated because you're frustrated since it's not working out. And you don't figure out what you're going to do wrong, and hence you stop with whatever activity you're doing. This is something that you can very often see with new players in Wargame Red Dragon, for example, or, well, any of the Wargame series. And for me, I had it when I was playing Hearts of Iron 4. My level of knowledge, or my level of skill, was so far below the level that I required, that I just thought, fuck it, this is too frustrating, I'm not going to do it. And that's when you get people who are turned off. And immediately they try to go back to something that they are good at to feel this sort of mastery or control over things. Anyway, that was a bit of a sidestep. Where do you go and what do you do when you need to restore your energy? For me, it's going to a quiet place, being in control of whatever I'm doing, and not having people bug me or bother me or whatever. So those are the times when I turn off my Steam list, I turn off Discord, I generally don't even respond to texts, I don't check Facebook, nothing whatsoever. I just do one activity, and maybe on my second monitor I'll be watching any of the daily talk shows or something like that. Anyway, that was a bit of a long-winded answer to this question, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Where do you go, and what do you do when you need to restore your energy? Let me know down below in the comments. Next week, I hope to be having a guest. I'm trying to get Sparky to join in on this series, so we can have a bit more of a discussion on that. But if you have any other ideas on how to change this thing up, how to spice it up, how to improve the series, then by all means, let me know down below in the comments. And again, if you want to have these questions for yourself, either to be asking your friends, turn it into a drinking game for all I care. There is a format for that as well. These things are really cheap. They cost me, I think, 15 euros. And they have given me conversations which are very, very valuable, even with complete strangers. So check out SoCards.org, and you can either order them online there, or you can get them from a local vendor. And the website will tell you which local vendors there are around you. Again, not a promo, it's just that I'm a big fan of these things. And I think they deserve a lot more attention than what they're currently getting. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and let me know where you go and what you do to restore your energy.